Coach. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what school you're at, where you've been, so that my parents have an idea of who you are?
Well, certainly. My name is Leighton Westmoreland. I am the head women's basketball coach at Central Wyoming College. We are a NJCAA Division One. A little bit about my background. I've done everything from club, skill development. My time in San Antonio, I was with Spartan basketball for 5 years as a skill development trainer, AAU coach, coached 5 years at the high school level. I ended up spending 1 year with the San Antonio Stars. It was actually their final year before they got sold to Las Vegas. And this is my fourth year coaching at the college level. I've coached both junior college and at the D3 level.
Awesome. Awesome. So you have a wealth of knowledge with this game because you've been from the bottom to the top. So my first question is, what type of player typically ends up at JUCO?
So at the junior college level, there are a few misconceptions. A lot of people think that junior college is for kids with bad grades and bad attitudes. Now, I think there's that at every level, but you see a lot with the NJCAA is it's a launching pad for kids whose recruitment may not be exactly what they want it to be. There are plenty of players at the junior college level that, they had D2 offers, they had D1 interests, but maybe a small town kid from the Houston suburb doesn't want to go play at, Seattle. They don't want to go to New York. They don't want to go to those places. The areas they're more comfortable with just aren't recruiting them. A lot of times kids may not be D1 eligible. You have to have a certain GPA to play at the D1 level. There are GPA requirements at D2 as well. And JUCO gives you an opportunity to pursue your associate's degree, get those college credits you need to improve your GPA and become recruitable again. So I think there's a variety of reasons that players will go that route. Another one is, just the social aspect. Not, especially today, not everybody is ready to go sit in a class of 100 students, right, and, academically and not know their professor and not have the help that they need. Junior colleges, you're going to have classes of 10 to 15, a lot more help, a lot more assistance, in a little less overwhelming environment. And so hopefully after 2 years of junior college, you're able to get ready for the social aspect of a 4-year university.
Awesome. Awesome. That's some good information to know because some people kind of pigeonhole JUCO in a negative light, and it's not always a negative thing. So the type of kids you recruit are just like the kids that any other college recruits, correct?
Absolutely. I just putting it how it is. I mean, I've stolen, this year and last year, I've stolen D2 and NAI recruits to come play for me at JUCO. I tell them, look, yeah, that's a great offer, but you can come here for free. Hey, I know that they're the only ones offering you, but you already told me what's important to you, and it doesn't seem like that's a good fit. So come here, and I've helped them get somewhere else that is a better fit. There's a lot of times where people, will tell players, look, just take that offer, just take that offer. It's the only one you're going to get. Well, go to a junior college, spend 2 years there. Now you're going to have more offers. You're going to have opportunities. So again, and I'm definitely seeing on the women's side, these young ladies are more inclined to play regionally. They want to play somewhere close to home.
Right.
And so if a school from Alaska is recruiting you or a school from Florida is recruiting you,
yeah,
it may be exciting in the moment, but after a year, you're going to be miserable because you wanted to be close to home. And so community colleges give you an opportunity to reopen your recruitment. And so, we attack things the same way. Me personally, like I got the job here 2 months ago, and I had to recruit 10 players. Not a single one of those kids had under a 3.5 GPA. With the kids that I've already offered, they're all 3.5 GPA and up. Again, that myth that JUCO is, bad kids with bad grades.
Right.
I don't take kids with bad grades because I don't want that headache. So I don't want that headache. I mean, the whole bad grades thing is probably going to be that DCU, the crib university. It ain't you.
Yeah.
You're going to be at home if you got bad grades.
Oh, that's so good to know, because some people think, oh, I can slack off in school, oh, I can still go this route, but that's good information. Okay, so what factors are you using to consider kids when recruiting, whether it be roster, their family, not just basketball wise, character, like stuff off the floor?
Again, it's regional. I'm learning more and more that the ladies are going to be more inclined to play somewhere close to home. The high level kids, that have been putting their whole lives into it, yeah, they're going to go play at that D1 across the country. But the other 94%, they're going to be a lot more specific with their recruiting process. So, yeah, I look for kids in the area. I look for kids in surrounding states. Whenever it comes to families, I just look for dynamics. Is there anything that's going to stick out as a red flag? Is there anything that's going to be a problem? Even if I say it, no, they're not going to believe me. Parents drastically affect their kids' recruitment process. I'll say it, I'll tell it to them. I've had those conversations, and they just look at me like I'm crazy, and it just proves me right. If I'm watching a game and a kid's performing well, and I like them, and all of a sudden something happens, and their parent jumps and screams and starts cussing at the ref, and I'm scratching that name out. Your recruitment's done. Like, I don't want that parent on my sidelines. I don't want that parent on, the live stream, and then they're going to email me or be leaving comments in the Facebook and all that other stuff, spreading negativity, because again, there seems to be a pattern, and that's just not something I want. And a lot of people will be like, well, why blame the kid? I mean, we live in a world where we have to understand our actions affect other people. And just because you're a parent of that person doesn't mean you get a free pass. And so, it's just one of those things. Grades, I try to check out GPAs beforehand of who I'm recruiting. Most of the time the books have, kids' GPAs and stuff like in it at the showcases and whatnot. So, and then, yeah, that's kind of what I go into it looking for is GPA, family dynamics, and is that kid from an area that I would have success recruiting.
Okay, so you mentioned showcases. How important are showcases for your level of play, the JUCO level?
They're huge because it's all the live periods and everything else. It's huge because it further drives our point that, look, you're not ready, because you go spend all that money to be on those teams, and you go to these showcases where you're being promised exposure and you end up getting exposed. And so, you're seeing, well, I've been to 4 tournaments and not a single, D1 coach has called me. I'm sorry, you're not getting slept on. You're just not good enough. And that's not a bad thing. It's part of life. We're not always good enough. We're not always up to snuff. But junior college can be an option 2 years down the road. Now that D1 is going to be called because you played 2 years of college basketball. And so, that those showcases are big because it further drives our point with some kids. Look, your recruitment is obviously not going the way you want it to. So, you need to consider this as an option, as opposed to being at home or spending tens of thousands of dollars on post-grad schools that just aren't lucrative options. And so, it's just something that to me, I think is great.
Oh, wow. Dang. Okay, so it's I love the fact that you're so blatantly honest, which is what a lot of people really need. And so I appreciate the honesty in that answer. All right, so do y'all, how for JUCO, do y'all use scouting services to help you recruit?
I think it's going to be case by case. You'll have some programs that are really well funded and others that aren't. I keep it simple. I'll use field level NCSA I've got some, back whenever I was in Texas, we used Prep Girls Report, Simi Colson and his scouting service. We'd use those, but it's gonna be a case by case basis. Me personally, I use Twitter. Twitter has done more for me than any scouting service that I've ever used. And so, whenever I got this job, I had over 100 messages from kids, AAU coaches, parents. And it's not just me. Anytime those coaching jobs change, anybody moves up the ladder, it's like a wildfire, just spreads. And so, Twitter has probably been the best scouting and recruiting service I've ever used.
Wow. I didn't know Twitter would be on the on the map with that. So,
It is.
okay. All right. So let's get into some misconceptions that people have about the junior college level. I know personally from what I hear is like you mentioned before, it's the kids that can't make their grades. It's the kids that are really athletic and just dumb jock type stereotype. But I know that that's not the case. So can you let in on some of those misconceptions and clear some of them up?
Well, again, it's a launching pad. That's how I see it. It's not the end goal, it's the journey, and it's part of that journey. It's a stepping stone. You'll again I think D2, I'm sorry, D1, you have to have at least a 2.5 GPA to get recruited at the D1 level. They're not even going to look at you unless you're a 2.7, 2.8. And so, there's kids that may be great talents and their high school GPA just isn't up to snuff. They couldn't pass, the eligibility requirements. So they have to go there for a couple of years. If we're being honest, the dumb jock, stereotype that goes all the way to D1. That's just not a JUCO thing.
Right.
We've seen the news stories over the years of coming out of the woodworks, all the D1 kids that shouldn't have been there, but they had somebody taking tests for them. So it's not just a JUCO thing,
Right.
So you'll have kids that are there just for basketball. That's the only reason they're at that JUCO, but that's the same at D2. There are kids that are only there to play basketball. NAI, D3, it's all the same. And so, you've got to look at it through a different lens. You've got to look at it through a lens of, look, I'm going to be honest, no kid in the country has a Central Wyoming banner on their wall, praying every day that I recruit them. That's not going to happen. They've got Duke, they've got Texas, they've got, Arkansas. Those are their dreams. But we know that's the 1%, the 2%. So for the others, how can they find their way there or find their way to get a good education? Because at the end of the day, and I think this is something parents need to take more of a hold on in the recruiting process. At the end of the day, your daughter needs to get education. She needs to get a degree. She needs to get that college degree. And so again, with the junior college route, is you come here for 2 years, you get your associate's degree. That is 60 credits. That's halfway to your bachelor's degree. Mm-hmm. And now you have a degree on your resume, as opposed to going to a 4-year school that you were not 100% sure about. And you end up dropping out after a year because you weren't happy and nobody else recruits you. And now you have no degree. So there's an opportunity for you to pursue an education here, so there's that misconception that it's just, bad grades. And this is just, to get you up to, no, you get education here. Mm-hmm. We at Central Wyoming, we actually have several bachelor's degrees that kids can take, so we're a high academic school and there's lots of those, okay. And then the other thing about JUCO is our job is to get you recruited after your time here. After your 2 years, it's not okay, see you, bye. Our job is to help you get, a 4-year scholarship. And so, the biggest thing with that is we put in a lot of time. I'm not going to spill all my secrets out here that I use, but, my time at Hill College, in 10 years, in the Hill College system, we had 90% of our sophomores get 4-year scholarships. from D1, D2, D3, NAI.
That's
And
awesome.
of that, I think it was 38 out of 42 players leading into last year. And of those 38, only 3 ever transferred or did not finish at the school they signed with. And so in the day of the transfer portal, that's unheard of. So there are JUCOs that do it really well.
Okay.
And I'm looking to do the same thing here at Central Wyoming. I want to get my kids graduated on time. I want to help them earn a 4-year scholarship where they're going to be happy and not bounce around and use this transfer portal as an excuse, for why they're not being successful. I'm going to help them find somewhere where they're going to be successful,
Yeah.
and so, and then it's a big education process too. We educate kids on things that they just were not informed of, and and I don't think it's anybody's fault, at the club and club level, and parents a lot of times just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And so we kind of really opened their eyes to what it takes to really be recruited, because we're at this level. And so we know what's going to be expected.
Right. Okay. So tell me, the landscape of women's basketball, or basketball in general right now in the college realm, is a lot of transferring, a lot of people in the portal, a lot of people not getting picked up in the portal. Do you have any stats that show how many kids are transfers and how it's fewer freshmen getting picked up than ever before, right? And so do you have any numbers that they can listen to?
Yeah, for sure. I did a little bit of research just on my home state, where you're at, Texas. I looked at last year's rosters, D1, D2, D3, NAI. And so went through those, and there are a couple rosters that unfortunately only list hometowns. They don't list like previous school. So the numbers are going to be off by, I think it was 3 schools altogether. So about 30, 35 kids potentially. But as a whole, it's pretty accurate. I mean, you look at NAI, D3, D2, D1, how many JUCO kids, because what is JUCO going to do for me? Why would I go JUCO? Because it's going to get you to the next level, just at the NAI level. We'll start there. One of the most unknown levels is the NAI level. 4-year schools, great competition. I'm an NAI product. They have national tournaments. They give scholarships. Accredited colleges, no different than D3, D2, D1. 24% of rosters on NAI schools in Texas are JUCO kids. 24%. So 26 out of 110 NAI players in the state of Texas for women's basketball are JUCO products.
Wow.
And of those 26, 3 teams were in the national tournament with JUCO kids.
Wow.
So there was 10 JUCO kids playing for national tournaments in the state of Texas last year for NAI. That's not to mention the other, 250 NAI schools in the country.
Right.
Just in Texas alone, 24% of the NAI rosters were JUCO kids.
Wow.
And so one of those NAI rosters, their JUCO kid was their leading scorer. She averaged almost a double-double, and being a JUCO product was their leading scorer. D3 is a little bit different because D3 is going to be more high academic schools. And so, and then on top of that, it's the financial side, because there is no scholarships. It's a lot, less likely that kids are going to choose that as an option coming out of junior college. But D3 is around 4%. 4% of JUCO rosters in the state of Texas. I'm sorry, 4% of D3 rosters in the state of Texas were JUCOs.
Okay.
But again, two of the teams with JUCO kids on the roster played in the national tournament. And then at the D2 level, 12% of D2s in Texas were JUCO kids on the roster. 12% of their rosters. 21 kids on D2 teams in Texas. Same thing. 2 teams in the national tournament, with JUCO kids.
Right.
And so last one, the one everybody cares about, is D1. D1 had the most number of players from JUCOs on their roster. 30 in the state of Texas alone, 39 JUCO kids on D1 rosters.
Wow.
2 of those teams were in the national tournament. So there's a trend. Teams with JUCOs are competing at high levels. Now, the overall is about 1 out of every 9. That's what we're looking at in the state of Texas. 1 out of every 9. So you go watch 2 teams play. You got 15 kids on the roster, 30 kids. 3 of those kids are going to be JUCO products.
Oh, wow.
Three of the players are going to be JUCO products. And so you look at the rest of the numbers in a whole in the state of Texas, about 50% of rosters from D3, D2, D1, and AI are transfers. Okay. So I count JUCO as transfer because technically it is. So 50%. So that's junior college athletes, and 4-year transfers are accounting for 50% of college rosters in the state of Texas.
Wow.
So high school kids are not getting seen the way they used to, especially now because of the portal. And that's all the more reason that JUCO needs to be a legitimate option. That is a way to get you to the next level, because you are less likely to get picked up out of high school.
Right. Wow. Those numbers are astounding. And I see with the portal being the way it is, people can get people or kids that are young women or young men that are already developed, and they don't have to go through that whole developing process with the kid that has never played at that level. And so I'm kind of shocked at the numbers that you're giving out. And so just want to give our families and students the best opportunity to play at the next level, and let them know that if JUCO is calling, it's not a bad option, because everybody's route is different, right? So last thing, Coach, if you can give any piece of advice to the student athletes or the parents, it could be 1 or 2 things, 3 things, whatever. What would that be?
Go watch college games. Because and trust me, there are good and bad coaches at every level, from little dribblers to D1. But the one that frustrates me the most is club parents and club coaches and even high school coaches that say, oh, you're too good for that level, and they have never watched a minute of basketball at that level. Okay. I mean, just in your area, there are like 8 colleges within a half-hour drive that have women's basketball. There's nothing, no reason you can't go Saturday at 1:00 and go watch the community colleges play. No reason you can't go on a Thursday evening at 5:30 and watch one of the D3s play. Like, go watch those levels, because you'll be surprised. You may think your daughter is D1, and then you go, and as a parent, you're like, okay, my daughter's not even this good. Like, maybe we need to reevaluate. Or maybe just you don't know what that competition level's like, and you get there and you're like, wow, this is really high level basketball. Maybe we should look at this. Or, wow, this is a beautiful campus. This is closer to home than we thought. All these reasons that you may have been writing off those programs, and so that would be my biggest tip to any parent is go watch. Like, watching on TV is not the same thing, so go watch. Spend a family night out and go watch a college game. See what it's really, if you're really trying to figure out what level is my daughter, what level is my son. My AAU coach said that this isn't an option for us, but we want to go see for ourselves. Just go watch. That's going to be the biggest one is, do that. And then parents really get involved in the academic side of the recruitment. The kids all over the basketball side. That's all they see. They got the blinders on. All they see is, am I going to play? is a nice gym? Do I get cool uniforms? That's it. But you need to find out as parents, okay, are they going to be able to get a degree here? Is it a safe campus? Does it have the academic resources they're going to need? And really take over that side, make sure that they're seeing the whole picture, because they're not. They're going to see
Yeah.
part of it, and so you can help them see the rest. And just being able to be more assistance in that factor.
Right. You said something. Oh, I'm too good for this level or that level. If none of those levels are recruiting you, I'm just saying, and so when my players or kids that I'm like, hey, I don't know if this is a good option for you, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just being honest, because I've seen a lot of basketball just as you have. And so some of the things that you're saying, I'm just like, thank you. Reiterate, but Coach, I can't thank you enough for spending this time with me. It's very important, in my opinion, that I educate our families and student athletes as best as I can. So it gives them options, and open-mindedness is the key. And so you help with that open-mindedness, with some of the things that you've put out here. And so again, I can't thank you enough. And you already know, I've got your number in my phone. So if we have anything, I'll be shooting you a call. You come watch practice whenever you want to. Take a trip back down to Texas.
Oh, I know. Trust me. I'm even though I'm in Wyoming, I'm still going to be recruiting Texas. So I got a lot of respect for the players, the coaches down there. Y'all are doing a great job. So anytime I'm back in Texas, I'll be giving you a call.
Oh, sounds good. Thanks again, Coach.
Yeah. Have a good day.
You too.